I'm having a bit of a problem with my speakers because they seem stuck.
I
So I want to
think
make sure y'all can hear me.
we can hear you fine.
Okay.
We can hear you fine. Lisa, I want to thank you for your time. I know your time is
I'm
valuable.
so excited to be asked. Thank you.
I've been watching. I don't know if I have a saying, chess not checkers, and I've been watching since I got started in the industry. I'm inspired by your story. I've heard your story from. I've never heard your story directly from you, but I heard like bits and pieces from everybody because I like asking. So just so you know, the organization has been we've been here for 4 years in the network marketing, moving on to 5 right now, and we've had a lot of great people on the Rich Call, and we love listening to new stories. You're not a new success story. And I would love if you today can go back a little bit in time, maybe utilize that some memories about when you got started, because I know it was a whole different beast at that point. I Jessica could not. She kept saying the Rakan, she's gonna be different, and I'm like, I think that's exactly what we need. So again, thank you for your time, and I'm excited. I know the team is excited, and the floor is yours.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and let me share with you that, I stalk.
I'm glad.
One of the things that you have done so well in your organization is the culture, community, and connection that you have as a movement. A group of people united in individual visions for better for each of you, but better for the world, and leaving people's lives better than you found them. And this is the glue that allows me to continue to be in network marketing. I'm turning 60 in 2 weeks, 33 years later, when with many of today's strategies, I'm an obsolete dinosaur. I'm an obsolete dinosaur. And, I thought you were going to say, go back to the time when you weren't scared or nervous or worried. And that would be like 2 hours ago. Because every time you are in front of somebody, every time that you are talking to somebody, every time that you are sharing your story, whether we realize it or not, it's not about us, it's about them. The only part of this that's about me is that I've been doing this long enough that you can believe by my life that it is possible for you. That you can imagine that 33 years later, I'm standing in a very different place than I was 33 years ago. And the only way from there to here is to move forward. So you are inspiring people with everything that you do. Sometimes we're inspiring them with ways they don't want to behave. So we want to be cognizant of that. But it's always about the people in front of you. And there's no more valuable commodity than time. People that don't get this always talk about money. Money is at best a tool with which we use to acquire and design the life that we want. At worst, it is something that people stress over and takes their eye off the prize. Because the prize is, first of all, time, and the joy and the victory is in learning how to spend your time wisely. So if you meet people that are stingy with money, worried about money, really think about how they spend their money, those are all good traits to apply to time. Because money's round. It comes, it goes, it comes and goes again. Nobody can take what's between your ears. And every day that you're alive, you're one day smarter and more experienced than you were the day before. So what I have learned is that I am very, very cognizant of my time, but I'm more cognizant of the people that I'm talking to. Even if they don't understand the value of their time, I do. I know how valuable your time is today, and the fact that you're willing to spend some of it with me means the world. So here's a quick note on time for you to keep as a visual and to share with other people, because that's the secret. When they understand that the time bank account doesn't work like the money bank account. So let's talk about a time bank account. When you're born in the universe, a time bank account is opened for you, and a deposit is made. And you nor nobody else on the planet knows how many years, months, minutes, hours, weeks, seconds are deposited there. Here's what we know. You can only make withdrawals. And every second that you spend may in fact be your last. And at any day of your life that you walk out of your home, your account, which may have a lot of time in it, can literally be canceled immediately. That's what we all live with every single day. And what do? We spend our whole lives trying figure out how to live forever. What you're doing is how you live forever. It is the ripple effect of making an impact in the world that will outlast you, that will be felt in the people whose lives continue on long after you're gone, where you have made an impact or made a difference. And today with technology and what you're doing, you have the opportunity to do that at a 10 times ability. So every time you let a bad mood creep in, or you get righteously indignant, or you play the game of disempowering questions, what you are really doing is wasting your own time and stealing from your immortality. Because that's all you got. One day you are going to be gone. Whatever you have achieved will not be buried with you. Hopefully, it's wonderful things that can be left to those whose lives you touched, loved, and impacted. But your true impact will be on the seeds that you planted and the people whose lives you coached and touched as you went around the world. That is it. Everything else is just the game we play called life. It's the game we play called life. And who you're competing with is yourself. Where you are today versus where you can be. I, like everybody else, was born and suffer from still today the disease of terminal comparison with a healthy dose of unworthiness thrown in. We call that the human condition. When we go out and talk to people, we forget that they are living, most of them, in a vague world where they are getting through the day. Whatever their hopes, dreams, and clear visions were in their youth, in their teens, in their 20s, for most people, by the time they're in their 30s, it has given way to getting through the day, getting through the week. They no longer deal in big, vivid pictures. They deal in gray blah. That's what you're showing up with. So when we go at people with our enthusiasm and our excitement because we have seen the light, found the nirvana, we have to remember that they have lost it. So here's what I would like you to do. I want you to imagine that every single person that you meet is carrying a bucket that you can't see. It is a huge, heavy bucket, and it's labeled stuff. And it's all the broken dreams. It's the endless exhaustion. It's the feeling of overwhelm. It's the kids that are screaming, the husband or wife who loves you but has their own stuff, so now you're bickering. It's the feeling of being trapped in a cage that is not so terrible that you will leave it, but has become so gray that it doesn't inspire you. They are full to the brim with all this stuff. Even if you have the cure, the product that can optimize their days to make them better, which y'all do, by the way, I'm a customer, or you believe you have the cure for the financial cancer that is killing them, they have no room for any of that. So what you want to do is you want to give people an opportunity to empty the bucket a little bit. Because if we make room in the bucket, there's room for you to replace it with good stuff. There's room for you to ask them questions they can now begin to think and understand. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 questions and then whatever else Rakan wants me to cover. So that's people. Now, I've been around the world. You know, Brian has a saying, I've been around the world, and it's not his, and to Arkansas twice. I've been around the world, lived all over the world, and I actually have homes in Arkansas. My lake house is there. No matter where I've gone, no matter what language I'm speaking, no matter what I'm being translated into, I've found that people are more alike than they are different. They want the same things for their family. They want tomorrow to be a little bit better than yesterday. And they want their kids to do better than they did. It's universal. But each and every person that I meet with a bucket, in their heart of hearts knows that there is one super important topic in their lives that is the elephant in the room. Nobody is interested in it enough. Nobody talks about it enough. What do you think that topic is, no matter where you go? I'm looking at the chat. You're all listing attributes, but you know what the topic that everybody believes is super important and is not discussed enough is? Themselves. They are not the center of attention enough. They feel like they are someone's wife, someone's husband, someone's coach, someone's employee, someone's, picker up after her, someone's ear, someone's go-to person. But where's their stage? Where's their, how are you? Let's talk about you. I want to know everything about you. It doesn't happen for most people. Most people, the last time somebody clapped for them was their high school graduation. That is why we make such a big deal of recognition in this industry. Not because it works, it does. But why does it work? Because we're tapping into that chronic, that terminal comparison, that chronic unworthiness, that ache that people feel but won't express, like, see me, I matter, clap for me, ask me how I am, notice that I'm sad. So when you meet people, I want you to back up on the business. Our business is a business of presentations. Would you agree? We're presenting all the time. Presentations have their place. And a presentation is a monologue. Today I'm training. This is kind of a monologue. I'm doing all the talking. There's a place for it, but it was set up. You're in a process. Rakan didn't call you up and say, hey, show up without even finding out if you were free, without even knowing what you are, without even knowing how this might benefit you. He didn't say, like, show up and listen to somebody talk. It's not about that. That doesn't make it about you. So where we start is not with a presentation, which is a monologue. It starts with a conversation, which is dialogue. Die meaning two. And in these dialogues, you're there to primarily listen. So many people get hung up on the fact that they can't present. Don't worry about it. You do a good presentation, sit through 25 of them. It'll become a language you speak. It'll no longer be scripted because it's like a song you've heard 25 times. Then go do 10 of them. I promise you, number 10 will be better than number 1. Number 100, you'll be the best person in most rooms because most other people quit at 80. Every person who tells you no, they're a hero in your story. You know why? It was one more opportunity for you to go through the process. Do you know how much better you will be at this? How great you'll be? How excellent? If 100 people are willing to let you give you their time and listen to what you have to say, and they say no, how good you're going to be. When you get to 101, they made their choice, but they honored you by listening, and they made you better. So what everybody gets hung up in, don't worry. That's not the magic. That's just the stuff that consistency over time gets you the skill. It's an age-old formula. If you're worried that you can't do what Rakan does, that if you try to do what Rakan does, that you're going to be bad, let me take the pressure off. You're not going to be bad. You're going to suck. You're going to be so terrible that the only thing you know of is the next time you do it, you can't possibly be worse. So you're going to have to be getting better. Do it 10 times. You're going to be closing in on terrible. At 20 times, you're going to be so mediocre, you're almost average. And eventually, above average sets in, and excellence comes through two things. You become the best in the room because you don't stop, and that'll make you very, very good. And everybody else will, which makes you the only game in town, which takes you from good to great. Then you just have to consistently keep doing it. Too many people spend too much stress on a formula that is me plus my new thing I want to do plus time and repetition makes me good. Easy to learn, easy to do. Forget that. All that comes later. I have interviewed, I guarantee you, the only person who's interviewed more $1 million earners in this space than me is Eric Worre. Possibly. And I'll tell you this, that millionaires have this in common. Two things, really. They look for ways to spend as much time as they can doing things only they can do. Doing things only they can do. Sometimes a brand new person sets the world on fire because they realize, am I the only person who can explain the comp plan? Heck no. This one can do it, and there's that video. That's available to me 24 hours a day. Never takes a break, never shows up with a cold, always works. Am I the only person that can explain the product? My experience with it, sure. But other than that, of course not. Am I the only story I have to tell? Well, mine's important, but I got 20 other people that can tell stories. What's the thing that only I can do, that nobody else can do quite like me? The connectability between them and who they have a relationship with. Only I can tell my story like me. And if I've got connection with Rakan, only I can be the one that connects him to the information that may in fact change both our lives and put us in business together. I don't have to explain it. I'm the one who can get him to the explanation. That's your secret power. You know, I always tell people my number one skill is nobody will out-friend me. And they don't take notes. And then when I start talking about all the stuff you can pick up for free on the internet by Googling, they start writing like crazy. That's the most important thing I'll tell you today. So when you meet somebody, you're going to have a conversation. And there's no pressure because your purpose there is to get them talking. You want them to be interested. They're going to think the most in what you have. They're going to think you are the most interesting person they've ever met if you focus everything on them. So before I go to these questions, I'm going to give you a fun exercise. Sometime this week, I want you to go find somebody that you are connected with. Nothing to do with business. Don't want you to bring your business up that you haven't talked to in a long time. And I want you to call them and keep the conversation on them, no matter how they try to come back to you for 45 minutes. Hey, Rakan, it's Lisa. We haven't talked in a long time. I was just wondering how you are. And he's going to go, oh, well, life is good. What's going on with the kids? What's going on with, what's going on in your business? How's, have you traveled since you go? It's been 2 years. Oh, I went to Florida. Where have you gone, Lisa? Oh, I traveled a bit. We'll talk about it later. Right now, I'm really interested in what you were saying. What was that you were telling me about your brother got a promotion? And see it, because I guarantee you that person will never forget the way you made them feel forever. Okay? I know. Now, I always talk about systems. Systems are important. They're very high tech today. They're very specific. They're very, what's the word? They follow a very good flow chart. Technology changes. Human nature doesn't. So whatever tool, I know Rakan's got an amazing system, but you know what? In 2 years, if somebody's developed something that's better and it doesn't keep up, they will be using something else, but the process will be exactly the same because it's an age-old process. That is just done, right? What's key is not that you master everything that process does, you have to master where the information is. You want to become a superb pointer, guide, or director. It takes a village to make a customer love more than the product and be connected. It's culture branding. It takes a village to have a distributor be a part of something greater than themselves. But what everybody needs is a buddy. And everybody's so busy trying to figure out how to become great at all the skills. Again, that's repetition over time. It's more important when you talk to that person that you bring to the party that you know their birthday. That you know their kids' names, that you know what's going on in their life, and that you know where to point, guide, and direct them to get the information that's going to help them with all those things. So when you sit down with somebody for the first time, I'm going to give you 3 questions, a process. This is not an interrogation. You don't call somebody up and spit out these questions. I don't want you to take them as a script. I'm giving you 3 concepts that I want you to write in your own words so they become your own and become second nature. When you're talking to somebody in the course of conversation, the opportunity will come up. You're going to ask them, you know what, Carlos, are you happy? Now, I'm not asking Carlos. Now, Carlos is already here, but we're talking about the people out there. I'm not asking Carlos, hey, did you have a cotton candy, Ferris wheel, a roller coaster kind of a day? That's a kid's definition of happy. What I'm asking him is, are you content with your life? Are you inspired by it? When you look down the road 2 years, if nothing changes, do you like the destination you're moving toward? Guess what about 95% of the people answer to this question is? It's no. And you know why? Write this down. This is a Lisaism. If we don't master the art of specificity, we will most definitely master the art of settling. Most people, when you show up, have mastered the art of settling. You're there to go back to the specifics, to get people to think, to awaken their critical thinking skills. Most people say no. They're not happy. So the next question you ask them is, do you have a plan? Now, I'm sure to God, people are going to look at you and say, what do you mean? This is how disconnected they are because they're so caught up with that bucket. And you're going to say, well, you've told me that you're not really happy where things are at. You're not living your bliss. You're not inspired. Do you have a plan to change it? Now, you're not asking this question to find out if they have a plan. You know they don't have a plan. If they had a plan, they wouldn't be talking to you about how unhappy they were. They'd be working their plan. What you're doing for them is reestablishing something that they have stopped connecting. Hey, I'm really not happy with where I'm at, and I have no plan to change it. You would be surprised how many people go through days that turn into months, that turn into weeks, that turn into years, and manage to not connect those 2 things. Not kids. You think about kids. Are you happy? No. Do you have a plan to change it? Yes. What is it? You need to buy me Legos. Let me tell you where did I tell you, Mom, the Legos are on sale. Here's where the Legos can be bought on sale. And I don't just want them, I need them. Let me tell you why I need them. And with great specificity, they will tell you all of that. And what happens? Do we or do we not? Sometime in the very near future, we'll say, oh, get an A on your report card. It's because it's your birthday. It's Christmas. We'll find an excuse to not look like the pushovers that we are, but we buy the friggin' Legos. That's the way the world works. When you know with specificity what it is you want, not just want, but what need, and you've worked out exactly where it is, how much you need to get it, the world, the universe will open up and give it to you. Most people stop doing that. So do you have a plan? And you'll be really shocked. But what do you think most people's answer to that is? After they say, what do you mean? And you've explained it. Exactly. So let me tell you the next question. David, would you like to see one? Would you like to see one? And let me tell you what follows that. It's probably not for you, but I'm sure you're going to love the product. Most people do. Now, why am I telling them it's probably not for them? Because it's probably not for them. You know, we all go to doctors, unfortunately have attorneys. I'm sitting in a building that was built by great construction work, my house, great construction workers. We all go to restaurants, but most people we meet are not doctors, lawyers. They have no desire to go into construction or open a restaurant. That is the way of the world. So it's probably not for you, although I'm sure you're going to love the product. Most people do. What we're telling people here is we're not going to put pressure on you. I want to show you an option because you have zero. You just told me that. But I'm not saying it's for you, although I know you're going to love my product. I'm pretty sure you're going to love my product. Almost everyone does. But Daniel, if you see what I see, I believe that together we may be able to change the trajectory of that road you're walking. I believe that we might be able to help you get more of the life you started to reimagine for yourself than the one you feel you've settled for. And if not, that's okay, because at least you will have started looking at plans. And if it's not this one, you need to keep looking until you find the plan that's right for you. You know why? You deserve to be happy. Everyone does. Now, let me tell you what happens when you do this. Virtually, now I kind of lead with the whole picture, so I'm not this product business because I have a product I adore, as do you, and I'm in business. Don't feel the need to hide either. Obviously, knowing the realities of the world, I know that there are going to be far more people that are consumers for my product, at least today, who over time may see a different picture than people who are immediately going to see the whole picture today. No problem. My job is not to decide where they fit into the picture. My job is to make sure they see a whole picture, knowing that they can fit somewhere in it, and that's their choice. Most people, some people will get it. They will absolutely get it because you've taken the pressure off. And you've made it about them. Some people won't get it, but they're on the road to find a plan, and they'll go find another plan. And if it works for them, you'll be on the front row cheering. Just as Rakan cheers for Jesse Lee and me, I cheer for all of you. But if it doesn't, you know who their first phone call is going to be? You. Because when everybody else was trying to get them, you wanted to get them to go do what was best for them, not what they perceived was best for you. And some people are so settled and uncertain, they're not really going to get it, but they're going to go, wow. You know, what's your name? I'm sorry. Lotus is so certain. There's just something different about the way he walks and talks now from the last time I saw him. I don't know if he's found it, but you know what? I'm going to latch onto him maybe. Those people usually won't move with as much purpose initially as the people that just get it. But then again, if you didn't know you're 1 in a million, allow me to let you know you're 1 in a million. So stop looking for yourself in every grocery store you go to. Because people don't have to be you to find joy and happiness and better in their lives. People don't have to be you to have success and accomplish great things. People don't have to be you for you to be able to become a multi-gazillionaire. People don't have to be Steve Jobs for Apple to have been successful. They don't have to buy the stock for Apple to be successful. They just have to love that he created a device that makes them feel special and they buy it. That changes their life and his. And if it changes their life enough, they may never open an Apple store, but they'll tell everybody they meet, you know how I know this? Now you're all young. I wanted you to all watch each other's faces, not mine, because I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't have an iPhone. I'm an Android girl. Now, every one of you is sitting there going, I can't believe she doesn't have an iPhone. She's kind of smart. People say this to me, Lisa, I thought you were smart. I can't believe you don't have an iPhone. Why don't you have an iPhone? She doesn't have an iPhone. None of y'all work for Apple. But every one of y'all out there, especially your generation, tries to sell me an iPhone every day at every event that I go to. That's why Apple's Apple. It's not about pushing people into something that they're not ready for, which makes them resist you. It's about making it about them and showing them that whatever place there is for them today, there is a place. If only using the product. Does the product not enhance the quality of life? Does it not make your days better? Does it not help you? Do people not want this? People always tell me, oh, I want to lose weight. No, you don't. You want to feel good. You want to have good blood pressure. You want to have a good pulse rate. You want to have the benefits of being fit. Nobody gets up and says, gee, I want to starve myself to lose weight. They think if I lose weight, all these good things will come. It goes back to where I started the conversation with clarity. People think they want money. No, they don't. People that let it be about money and don't design their life with specificity, look around their houses. 80% of it is stuff they bought that they thought would make them happy, that today is just stuff. Because they never decided what they really wanted. So, we want this life, and money makes it easier to accomplish. Money is a tool that can bring you the life you want. The pursuit of money without clarity can also get you a lot of money and a life you hate. Let us be clear. Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, Robin Williams were all at the height of their profession, top of their game and rich. And they left this world because they never figured out what they wanted. They defined success as getting to the top. That's a milestone that allows you true success, which is living life on your terms. Your other people's terms don't have to be the same as yours. You have to reawaken them to the fact that life on their terms is possible. And then help them ask the specific questions, the next question, the next question, the next question, that will make them see something beyond the gray, rainy day that they see when they look out their window, the blah gray. They can't, don't be a door to the great, don't pretend to be a door to the riches of the world, because the people that get that don't work part-time. They don't work full-time. They work all the time, and they work innately. It is second nature to them because they are building a world nobody else can see that has moved far beyond money. Be a window to a new future for them and find out what their future looks like. I'll give you an example, and then I'm going to flip back to him and see what else I can do, because I could go on too long, and I know your time is valuable. But when I first started in the industry and through today, today you've got a lot of young yuppies that people are making money a lot younger, so it's changed. But when you get to young couples, if they don't already have one, and you ask them what the dream is, almost without exception, it's their first home. If they don't have it, it's I want to buy a house. We want to get a house. We want to get a home. We want to own our own. And we say, okay, write that down. And we think as their buddy, we got it. Okay, I got to see some more people so everybody doesn't feel I'm picking on them. Okay, Michelle wants a house. And I think I know it all. I think I got it going on, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I got that. Is that specific? Let's play that out. Michelle wants a house, and I even asked the question, hey, Michelle, tell me about the house. And Michelle says, oh, Lisa, okay, it's going to have 3 bedrooms and a big living room. I want a big kitchen. I love to cook. And I'd like an extra room for crafting, or a TV room, or a playroom for the kids, and at least 2.5 bathrooms, because I want a bathroom when guests are over if the other ones are messy. Like, okay. So one day I pick her up And she says, where are we going? I'm like, it's a surprise. Today I'm your fairy godmother. And we drive to this beautiful neighborhood and we're we're a half a mile away. As we're driving down the street, she says to me, oh my God, Lisa, look at that house down the way on that corner. Is that the ugliest house you have ever seen in your life? And I'm like, well, I've seen prettier. And I pull up in front of the house and I stop. She goes, what are we doing here? I said, oh, come on. And I pull out the keys. And when I walk into the house, the only thing that hits her is, God, the outside wasn't as ugly as I thought it was, because the inside makes the outside look pretty. It's grotesque. It has checkerboard floors, leopard walls, orange countertops, green Formica, green appliances, shag carpeting from like 1942. The ceilings are low, the lighting is dim, dark colored drapes. And she's like, what are we doing here? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm your fairy godmother. Here you go. It's your dream house. She says, what are you talking about? This house is a nightmare. And I said, oh my gosh, no. There's 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. See how big that kitchen is? Look at the size of this living room. Here's your craft room right over here. And there's 1, 2.5 bathrooms. Exactly what you asked for, but not what she wanted. That's what most people do. Our job is to get them to the point that we tell it to you all the time. Visualize. You can't visualize with clarity what you cannot see with clarity. People should be able to see the life they want, that they are working toward, as clearly as if it was a picture hanging over their fireplace they looked at every day, that was up there because they loved it. I have a lot of art in the house, but I have a picture of a French street scene. You've all seen them. Matches with a lot of the colors in my living room. And it's got Parisian women with parasols. I can see that picture when I close my eyes. It's a time that I never saw. I don't know that it ever existed, gone by. That every time I look at it, just the way the colors blend just makes me smile. There are songs that if I'm in a bad mood, that if I hear them in my head, it'll turn me up a notch. But if I put them on, I am dancing 3 minutes later and I can't still be upset. That is what specificity does for our lives. Most people don't have it. That's the job. If you can become somebody's buddy and stay with them through the process, even if you walked in one day and you inspired them to get off the couch and open the drapes and see a different light for themselves, that never, ever brings them into your business. Do you think that they will not remember you? Do you think that they will not at some point have an impact on your business? I want you to imagine that every single person that you ever talk to is going to do something magnificent for your business. Maybe they will be your best customer. Maybe they're the next Carlos. Maybe they're the next Wakan. Maybe they're the next Jesse Lee. Maybe they're the next me. Maybe they're none of those things, but because you inspired them, they go on and they start, something in cyberland, and they meet a ton of people and they introduce you to somebody who is your best customer, best promoter, best mentor, gets you into the concert you always wanted to go to. Who knows? But that doesn't happen for you until the 7th time you connect with them. And that assumes they want to connect with you on the 7th time. If we treated people when we met them, knowing that there was a pot of gold, figuratively, literally, spiritually, and emotionally, at the end of the 7th meeting, do you think that 98% of the people would rethink the first meeting, begin to understand why maybe they didn't have a second meeting? It's about them. This business, you do not have to fall in love with the business the day you sign up. Nobody does. It's okay to date before you get engaged and to be engaged before you get married. But when you pick up a phone, see, if you love your product and you're talking about your product, that's authentic, sincere. That's why people respond to it. But the minute that you pick up a phone and you tell somebody that you're going to be there, I'm showing you this opportunity that I think we could do something special together, implies that you're going to be there. you better be in love with what you're doing, because it's not about you anymore. The minute you interject yourself into someone else's life, the minute that you go onto a street corner, if you see somebody dying on the side of the street and you drive by, shame on you, but you're good, but you're legally at least okay. But if you stop and you look in someone's eyes and say, I'm going to help you, and you don't call an ambulance, now you're part of the problem. And most people, too many people, are one broken dream away from never trying again. You don't want to be the reason they never try again. So understand that you have responsibility to others, and those that are cognizant of the responsibility to others are the ones that build wealth. You see, you can make a great paycheck. You can learn how to sell a product that is a good product and sell it well, and you can make money. You can do that with consistency. You can make a good living. You can teach other people how to do that and make a really good living. So if you can move product, you can make money. If you can move other people to move product, you can make a really good living. If you can move people to move people, you will make millions. But once you decide to do that, all eyes are upon you, and you now have a responsibility to that constituency. This is the reason that I slow people down and we start at the beginning. Because so many people see the wealth, they don't understand that wealth brings great responsibility. There is a difference between making money, having cash flow, and building wealth. And wealth is acquired by people that have a large number of people that depend on them for something. If you are following a stock trader, you are depending on them to have expertise. If you are following a leader in network marketing, you are depending on them to show you the way. Buying something from somebody, even buying, when somebody buys a package and says they're going to do a business, they're not in business. Let's face it, yesterday before it came up, they weren't even thinking of starting a business. But in that first 30 days, you have the opportunity by loving, being honest with them, helping them manage their expectations, dealing with the big things, which are just the little things like we've been talking about, which is getting to know them, who they are, what's important to them, what their dreams are, helping them clarify them, to get them to buy in to the fact that they could be a business owner. Most people don't even believe, and think about this, all it takes to be a customer is to buy something. Well, actually, that makes you a buyer. All it takes to be a buyer is to buy something. To be a loyal customer, you have to become brand loyal. We tend to get brand loyal with things we learn about, right? With things that we have good experience with. Most people don't even believe in their own ability to be a good, loyal customer. You're not going to take them from that to titan a business because they wrote a check or liked a product, but you will if you inspire them, you inquire of them, you set your intentions, you help them set theirs, and then you give attention to those intentions. 95% of human behavior is habitual. So people, it is not their fault that they are not doing this or doing that or doing the other thing. It doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean they don't want. It doesn't mean they're lazy. They are undisciplined. And they have developed a habitual lifestyle that doesn't serve them well. We don't want to spend a lot of time on the things we want to eliminate. We don't want to spend a lot of time dogging on things that we want to eliminate. What we want to do is help people set up strategies, patterns, and processes that over time will give them new habitual behavior. Real change doesn't come from determination. It's part of it. It doesn't come from consistency that enforces it. It comes from the decision that, every day at noon has become my pattern to get a drink. Doesn't mean I don't drink at other times, but I'm a noon drinker. If I make a decision with my buddies that at noon we're going to be eating lunch and listening to podcasts in the park, then I'm not at a bar. So I can't be drinking at noon. And after a month or so, people are going to say, what are you doing at noon every day? Oh, I'm in the park with my friends listening to podcasts, because you have a new habitual behavior. Success is creating a new habitual lifestyle. The easiest way to new habits, the easiest way to eliminate old habits is to replace them with new habits. So when people say, I can't, don't beat up, don't say you can. Sometimes it works. More often than not, it doesn't. Say, I hear you. I'll give you an example. I had somebody call me once. She said, I can't, somewhere on a piece of paper, it said, do your first live as an instruction. She called me practically hyperventilating. I can't do a live. I can't go live. I went through the obligatory, yes, you can. And I could see that the more I said it, the anxiety was rising. So I said, you know what? Okay, you don't have to go live. You could see the world today. As a matter of fact, hopefully one day you will, but what if I told you you could be successful and you never have to go live? And you could just see the weight of the world. And I said, why do we go? What's the purpose of going live? She said, well, I really never thought about it. I said, well, let's break it down. Why do we go live? We go live to connect with people, to find our tribe, to let people know what we're doing, to see how they're doing. That's what our objective is. Live is a strategy. Unless you have an aspirations to be a Facebook Live influencer and start a talk show, you can get through your whole life without going live. I made $1 million in network marketing in 2001. I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you that there was no Facebook. So obviously I figured out a way to do it without Facebook Lives. And today, I love this technology. We're all in my virtual living room. But you know what? I'm having the exact same conversation I would have had with you 30 years ago if we were in my real living room. I'm having the exact same conversation as I did on a stage in Moscow with 10,000 people that I have with 10. So that is the job. If we find out what people's fears are and we drill deep, we can help change their perspective and help them come up with alternatives for solving the problem. And every new habit of how we do anything is how we do everything. So every new habit builds the consistency muscle. Every new habit builds the discipline muscle. And one day, all of us don't recognize ourselves. But the things that all of you do today instinctively, remember, 95% of the average human being's behavior is controlled by their programming, by habitual behaviors embedded. Much of what you all do today that you do that's what I do. Once upon a time, that was not your habitual behavior. It was developed over time. And suddenly you don't do those other things anymore. But, it's funny. I barely drink Coke anymore. I barely smoke anymore. I could never quit drinking Coke. I could never quit smoking. It was all about quitting smoking. Then I started chasing health and thinking about other people. So I don't smoke in buildings. I don't smoke in my car. I don't smoke in restaurants. I don't smoke around other people. All these things. So over time, it's just, so I never said to myself, I can never do it again. Then all I think about is doing it. But over time, I don't do it much because it doesn't have a place in most of the things I'm busy doing. I go to the gym. You don't go to the gym and light a cigarette. So but later, if I really want one, I can have it. Just most times I don't want it badly enough to arrange the circumstances because it doesn't fit into my life as much. Does this make sense? So 3 questions, conversations, and take your new person. And here's the other thing. If you want people to get off to a fast start, help them get 5 customers. Help them get their first 5 customers by sharing their story. Help them become, and I don't care when I say that, basically what I mean is get them to share why they're excited about the product, the low-hanging fruit, the thing that they have the most belief in because of their own experience. You see, let me back up a little bit. This is why I'm excited about this. I want you to all take yourself out of network marketing for a second and remember that around your house, there are products that are your go-to brands. You love them, okay? You didn't love them the first time you bought them. When we first try a product, we are a trial buyer. And ultimately, whether we become a long-term customer or not has little to do with how good you are at selling, unless you're selling refrigerators, and everything to do with their experience, because that's what we do. Some things will go, oh my God, that restaurant was amazing. I can't wait to go back. Others will say, you know, it was okay. But when we evaluate the experience, the money spent, the time there, the food, it was like, eh. So that we're not really not going to end up there again unless somebody else tells us to meet them there. It's the only thing open. So we ate there once. This is not a customer rate. But when you love a product, I want you to think about this. If you have products that you love, let's say, okay, you guys all have great hair. Let me see if all the women have great hair. Okay, y'all have great hair. So I know you are all, most of you, not buying shampoo in the drugstore or in the grocery store. You're all using pretty good hair products. Am I close? Now, there are as many people out there that will tell you a product is overpriced and crazy as will tell you your business is. Here's the difference. A brand new person comes into the business and they're overwhelmed. They're comparing themselves and they don't know from experience that they can do it. They hope they can. Maybe they can. Maybe they really don't believe they can get somebody else to do what they just did, which is buy into the idea of starting a business. But they're saying they can because we're saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Stop saying it. They probably can't today, emotionally. But here's what they can do. You see, if you're brand new to a business and you've never done it, and you know, you sat there, you hoped you could, you were afraid you couldn't, and the first 5 people that tell you no are going to reinforce what you believe to be true anyway, which is that you can't do it. So now what happens is you don't exactly quit, but you start filtering who you're going to talk to. I'm not going to talk to Mark. He's too successful. I'll talk to him when I make money. I'm not going to talk to Mary Sue. Mary Sue's busy and she'll make fun of me. But when I'm setting the world on fire, and suddenly they only want to talk to people they're comfortable with, which are people that are even less secure and optimistic than they are, who all say, oh, it sounds great, but I have no money. And then they go silent because it was the voice in their head of fear being reaffirmed by the outside people that they spoke to. Now you take that same person, all of you, and somebody goes and says, oh, you have great hair. Oh, I buy this and it's so much money. Are you nuts? You can go to the grocery store and you can buy $5 shampoo and $5 conditioner. And I would never spend my money like that. And you're just an idiot. You're going to go, okay, but you'll still keep talking because you know what it did for you. You have experiential knowledge. And with that comes certainty. That is what we are moving people to. And here's the thing. It's not about who says yes or no. It's about getting people to a place where they don't stop talking. As long as they don't stop talking, in the end, they'll win. People are not numbers. We've spent this entire call talking about how we cannot treat them like they're numbers, but it is a numbers game. Let me tell you that this is the worst. I'm telling you the story because it's true, and you'll know it's true because of how sick the humor is. But this changed my career in network marketing. Y'all are too young to remember Jim Jones in Guyana Town, but have you ever heard about it? Jim Jones was a preacher who got the feds were chasing him, and he got like 1,200 people to go with him to Guyana and set up like a commune, the People's Temple. And eventually, when the feds came in, they shot up a bunch of people, and he got the entire group of people drank poison Kool-Aid. They all committed suicide together. 800 people. Look it up. Jim Jones, Jonestown. This was fairly current when I was in my early stages of network marketing. And I called one of my upline one day and I said, I just can't do this. I can sign people up because I'm a good salesperson. That was a downfall for me. I wasn't duplicable. I said, I just can't get anybody to do this. And he said to me, Lisa, if Jim Jones could get 800 people to drink cyanide, you can't find 8 that want to make money. And everything changed for me because I realized my job is not to get anybody or convince anybody. My job is to keep talking. I am to marry figuratively, message. We have to marry the process and divorce the result, because the business we're in the choice business. Our job is to start with the largest group that we can. That's people that have never heard of what we have, and to ask questions and see who keeps raising their hand, and to work with those that continue to choose, and to make it okay when someone stops choosing. I think the training that he was referring to, have y'all seen my I Will Help You Build Your Business training, the 7 words? Okay, well, Rakan, if I can have your permission to go along, I really need to teach them these 7 words. Is that okay?
All yours.
This is going to radically change your life and the way that you do business. I need you to write down 7 words in exactly the way that I tell you to write them down. On the first line, I want you to write, I will help. On the second line, I want you to write the word you, Y-O-U. On the third line, I want you to write, build your business. When you are meant, see, people always say, how do you know who to work with individually? How do you know who not to work with? How do you know when to stop with people? The truth is, no matter what you do, 85%, and I believe it's closer to 90% of your revenue is going to be driven, not done. They're not buying it all, but driven by 10% of your people. That's reality. Okay? That means for every 20 people, okay, 18 of them are going to do something, and 2 are going to do, and this is any 20 people you take at any level, and 2 are going to outperform the other 18 combined. That's called life. Okay, so we want to spend the most time with those 2 people, but we don't want to ignore the 18, so we work with them in group. And we're not picking favorites because they decide. See, this is the NFL, but anybody can get in the starting lineup based on their performance. It's up to them. Because we don't demand results that you score touchdowns like the NFL. We demand that you keep throwing the ball. This business, we don't judge by results. We judge by attempts. It's the most forgiving business there is, because we know that consistency and repetition is going to build the skill anyway, right? So most people rather than focusing in on the 2 or learning how to identify the 2, they get lost in 18 land. They chase the 18. They bug the 18. They try to tell them, help them by telling them what's wrong with their life and what they should be doing. And they chase them right out of the business. And guess what? We want those 18. They fill the seats. They bring their friends. They use the product. And as long as they're in the auditorium, one day they may get out of the bleachers and get on the field. It doesn't happen if we chase them out of the building. So when you're mentoring somebody, and often this will not be somebody personally sponsored by you, remember, 85% of new people are brought in by new people who are 3 days ahead of them, which is why we turn them into buddies and connectors. And they learn through immersion and repetition over time how to do what you do now. They don't have to do what you do now. You can do it. They need to be talking, doing what only they can do. So you're going to sit somebody down and say, look, I want to explain how this business works. Write down these 7 words. We both have jobs. We both have jobs. Your job is everything that starts, follows the word you. You build your business. That's your part of this equation. You and the bottom sentence. That's you. You build your business. My job is everything that comes before the word you. I will help you. You build your business. I will help you. If you're not doing your job, I don't have one. Make sense? Now, how do we put this into play? I'm going to go back to a very old world example because I don't know what anybody's individual systems are. They're all the same. We give them different names. But back in my day, it was make a list. And by the way, I still believe in the power of the list in spite of all of social media. When I say step 1, because how this works is you give an assignment and then you see how somebody did. So let's say you have a book. So I'm now mentoring eeny, meeny, miny, Max. Eeny, meeny, miny, Max. Max, I'm now mentoring you. And I'm going to say to Max, the first thing you're going to do is make your list. I don't know what I did to this picture, but I apologize. First thing I say to Max is, you're going to make your list. And Max says, okay. And I'm going to say to Max, his choice, when can you do that by? When can you get that list made by? And he says, next Thursday. I'm like, great. So Thursday at 2:00, we can get together and go over your list. Yes. He picked the date. So now I'm going to put down next Thursday. Now I'm going to call Max and say, Max, did you get your list done? And, he's going to say, well, this happened. I'm like, Max, no problem. I get it. Life gets in the way. Let's schedule another appointment. We book another appointment. He says Monday at 2:00. When I call him Monday at 2:00, if he hasn't done it, I'm going to say, look, Max, I apologize. This is your business. So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead and get it done. When you get it done, call me and we'll schedule another appointment. So I didn't take him out of my book. He did. And he can put himself back in at any moment. So I'm going to say, now, Max, you know when the team calls are, right? Yes. Max, you know when the convention is. You have your ticket, right? You're going to be at the Super Saturday. And I'm going to point him to everything that's in group. I'm not going to forget about him. I'm going to make sure that we remind him, follow up, but he's moved into the group setting. See, group settings are how we get this done. I'm not so very great, but there's 428 people here. So in 1 hour, it's 1 me to 428 of you. If you all get one thing out of this, just one thing, look what we did in an hour. That's the power of group. And if you watch how the group performs, not what they say, but how they perform. So you're looking for your starting lineup. When somebody tells you they're going to do it, write them in the book. Like I said, in pencil, give them a couple chances. When people continue to raise their hand and continue to do it, write them in pen. And now they've earned a spot on the team, the starting lineup. It's really that simple. And that is how you can have a ripple effect that serves everybody to your highest ability to create the most massive impact and find those that are on the road and continue to choose. And remember, the gate is, I've never heard of you. I've never heard of what your company or what you have, what you sell, or anything that you have that could impact my life. That's the bottom floor. That's the floor. The first step is if they're willing to listen to anything. Typically there's a question, what do you know about this? Have you ever heard of that? If I do this, will you do that? I've never had anybody tell me no. If I send you a video, will you watch it? Never, ever. But if somebody said to me, you know what, Lisa, I don't know about that. I don't want to know about that. I never want to know about that. Don't tell me about that. I'm not going to start handling objections. They chose not to continue. No problem. But here's what I have happen. I'll call somebody back. I'll call Monica back and I'll say, hey, Monica, did you watch that video? Well, and Here's what I do. I'll say, Monica, I apologize. I get the feeling that when I asked you, you felt like you couldn't say no. And I'm sorry for that. If you don't want to watch this video, no problem, no judgment. We're still friends. It's okay. What typically happens there is because, see, this goes back to specificity and accountability. She knows she said she would do it. There was nothing vague. So she wants to be a person who honors what she said. So she's going to come back and say, Lisa, I really do. I promise. I'm sorry. I want to watch the video. And I'm going to say, you know what, Monica, if you don't want to, it's okay. But if you really do want to watch it, do me a favor and watch it today, because I don't want our next 4 conversations to be about a 4.5-minute video. That's it. So all you're doing is continuing to ask questions. Who wants to go to the next step? You know, the opening door was, I've never heard of it. The top step is Starfleet Commander. The top of the next staircase is I'm helping people to become Starfleet Commanders. People can stop anywhere they want, their choice. It's okay. We love them where they're at. They can change their mind. They can take a breather. They can come along. But again, you want to really get into the questions. Jesse Lee and I have somebody in the Empire. Today, she's a pro champ. She called me about 2 years ago. And she said, you know what? And this was the oddest call I ever got, but it taught me something. She said, you know, I love this business. I love this business so much. How do I get this to go back and fill the screen like it did? I don't know what I did wrong. Oh, view. Thank you. That's what I wanted. Okay. You can spell it like me. I just want to see everybody. And she said, I love the business. It's helped me quit my job. This was right before the pandemic. Helped me quit my job. I'm home with my kids. I've replaced my income. And I've realized that's about as far as I can go, which was the last thing I ever expected her to say. Who calls you with, you know, the dream? I'm home with my kids when I wanted. I replaced my income. I quit my job. I'm happy. But I've realized I can't do anymore. And I'm like, excuse me? Why would you say that? She goes, well, I've watched you. You're on airplanes all over the world. You go back and forth to Asia, back and forth to Europe. And I've watched Jesse Lee. And Jesse Lee is always traveling too. She goes, and the most important thing to me is being a good mom. And I quit my job and I want to be a good mom. This is something that you have to learn when you're developing and advancing leadership. Each and every one of us, if we're clear on the life we want, and she was, we all of us have non-negotiables. In other words, we'll get to a certain level. And then if people are stuck, it is because there is something, some question, some concern they have that they have not satisfied, which is holding them back. In her case, and that's what I said to her, I said, okay, you're not asking the right question. I said, first off, my kids are grown. Please don't believe when they were small, I was a vagabond gypsy like I am today. And Jessie Lee doesn't have kids yet, and I can't speak for her, but I'm willing to bet that she has a different plan for when she has children than what she's doing right now. So to look and compare to us is not correct, because you're not asking the question that you need answered. Your question is, can I build a monster business and still be a good mom? She said, yeah, that's correct. So, well, the first thing is, who do we know that's doing it? Do we know anybody that's doing that? So Brittany Anderson does that. She's a good mom. Courtney Sarko homeschools. She's a good mom. They're building monster businesses. Let's see what they're doing. Because again, we're focused on the outcomes we want. Their strategy can't be to get on an airplane at every time they are asked. And you know what I learned in the pandemic? I probably did that for too long. You should keep doing it, but there's a difference between what becomes your pattern is not necessarily what is necessary when you develop leadership. So we all learn. So when you are spending time with people, your job is to get to know them and help them know themselves, help them to get specific, help them to ask the questions that will help them define what their non-negotiables are and develop ways around, strategies, a vision they can see themselves achieving. If you do that, if nobody outfriends you, if you become a buddy and you're doing this consistently, and you're plugging people into everything that's available, and you are a cheerleader and you are connecting them to go to their highest and being a window, not a door, all the rest of it, you'll know how to do one day. I'll close with this as far as training goes. When I first got started in network marketing, I never did the meeting for 2 years. There was, the best person in the room does the meeting, which is a dumb, philosophy, but that's what it was 33 years ago. If only the best person is doing the meeting, how's anybody else ever going to get anything? But I didn't want to do it, so I wasn't complaining about it. And I managed to go 2 years without doing the meeting. And I was doing well. Other people thought I was doing well. I had a lot of imposter syndrome. It didn't have a name back then. It was just like, boy, I don't know what they're talking about, because I feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing on a daily basis, which I still do, in case you're wondering. So in my head, there's a day when we arrive. Like someday you're going to arrive. So I got to the second to highest rank, and somebody figured out I'd never done the meeting. And they sort of got me to do the meeting, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was much, much worse. Everything would fall off the stage. But, the next one was better. But what was so funny is I kept waiting. When are they going to knock on my door and give me all the secrets? The stuff they don't tell you. The stuff that they know that I don't know, which is why they look like them and I look like me, which is why they sound like them and I sound like me. Nobody ever shows up to tell you the secrets, because everybody's been telling you everything you needed to know since the day you started in the business. Anybody ever seen that poster, everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten? Go Google it. Be nice to others. Be kind. Flush. Say thank you. We all have known this. When my girls were selling Girl Scout cookies, they brought to help you, the upline, right? And when you call and ask people how they are, thank them for their order, ask for referrals. And I'm like, my God, the Girl Scouts are teaching network marketing to 8-year-olds on how to sell cookies. It really is that simple. Don't complicate it up. The only thing that's complicated up is the clutter in your head. Clear it out. Get clear on what you want. Look at that.
Yeah, relax. She'll be back in a second. Let me double check.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No worries.
When you want for every person you meet to lessen their bucket and to have a picture on their wall, as clear a vision for their life as you have for your own, people will flock to you. And here's the cool thing. Maybe today, maybe next week, they won't be in your business. But I guarantee you that if you treat them like we talked today and you go through this process with them, in that picture of their perfect life they're designing, you're in the picture. And as long as you're in the picture, you're winning on so many levels. And one day you may have a picture that you're both in, which is a joint business opportunity. And if not, it'll be something else. And with that, unless you want me to tell a story, which I can tell my closing story that I always tell, I would consider myself to be done.
I would love for you to do the story.
Hey, you guys want a bedtime story, even though it's the middle of the afternoon?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a story. It's a dark night, and a guy named Tom, excuse me, I have to drink a bit of water. My voice getting better though. A guy is walking home. Okay. And Frank and Paul Paul's walking home one night and it's dark. It's pouring down rain. It's spooky. And he's getting a little freaked out. And as he's walking, he trips and he falls into a pothole. And he's really starting to lose it because it's pretty deserted out. And he's like down there. And it's probably been 10 minutes, but he's just, nobody's ever going to find me. I'm going to die down here. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Oh my God. Oh my God. The world is coming to an end. And suddenly he hears footsteps. He says, hello, hello, hello. Is anybody up there? And he hears a voice say, oh my, is somebody down there? What's going on? And he says, who is that? He says, oh, it's Father Murphy, my son. What you doing down there? He says, oh my God, Father Murphy, I was walking home in the pouring rain and I tripped and I fell down here. Can you please help me? And the father says, oh, but of course I can help you, me laddie. And he pulls out a pad of paper, he scribbles a prayer, he throws it down the pothole and he walks off. And Paul is like just losing it. And he's like, oh my God, how long have I been here? It's been hours. And suddenly he hears more footsteps. And he goes, hello, hello, is anybody up there? And he hears a voice say, hey, man, I think I heard a voice, but I don't see anybody. And the guy says, no, I'm down here. He says, oh, hey, man, what are you doing down there? And Paul says, I was walking home and I fell down in the hole and I can't get out. Can you help me? And the guy says, you know what, man? I'm on my way home. And if I can remember where it is, that I live after all. And when I get there, if I get there, I'm going to call the 911 people and I'm going to tell them to come back here and get you if I can remember where back here is. And the guy walks off. And now Paul is really, really, really losing it. And suddenly, here's footsteps.
Oh, Lisa. 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 You're on mute.
I've been telling this whole story on mute the entire time.
No, just the last one. You just did.
I didn't hit mute. So
and then I don't know if you just went mute. I don't know. The footsteps went mute real quick.
Have I been on mute the whole time?
No. Just literally the last like.
So tell me where I left off.
The second guy walked off. Let's start from.
I don't know how that happened. I apologize. Okay, so Paul's down the hole and he's freaking out. And all of a sudden, he hears more footsteps and he screams out there, hello, is anybody up there? And he hears a voice say, hey, I think I'm here. I had a good time tonight. I'm hearing voices. I don't see nobody, but I'm hearing voices. And Paul screams again, hello, I know you're up there. And he goes, oh, hey, man, what are you doing down there? And Paul says, I was walking home. It was pouring rain. I tripped. I fell in the hole. Can you help me? And the guy says, you know what? I'm on my way home. I kind of remember where I live. And when I get home, if I get home, I'm going to call the 911 people and send them right back here. If I can remember where right back here is. And now Paul's losing it. He's completely losing it. He's like, that guy's going to die in the storm. The other guy is praying for me somewhere, and I'm going to die in this hole. And suddenly here's footsteps. Hello, is anybody up there? And here's a voice saying, Paul, is that you? And he screams like, Frank, is that you? And Frank says, yeah, Paul, it's me. What's up? He goes, I fell in this hole, Frank. I can't get out. Can you help me? And Frank says, Paul, of course I can help you. And he jumps in the hole. And Paul says, Frank, what are you, crazy? Now we're both stuck down here. Why'd you do that? And Frank says, Paul, I've been down here before. I know the way out. Give me your hand and I'll take you out of here into the light. That is pretty much how people feel when they come into network marketing. How you may feel every time you want to go to a next level. Like you're in a black hole and nobody hears you and you don't know what to do. But you are surrounded by people that have been in the hole before you and they know the way out. And if you'll just take their hand and let them lead you into the light, your job then becomes to look behind you and help those that are in the hole following you out. And I'm done.
Can we just... I want to be part of this point. I I wanna be Can we drop a massive thank you for Miss Lisa Grossmannn for this amazing call? My God.
Pleasure.
Lisa, thank you. You know, one thing I was talking to Jocelyn, I'm telling her, I'm like, a lot of us are young.
Team name, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I love your team name. I tell people all the time, your business isn't the game changer, you are. You plus your business changes your game, but you're the game changer in your life and the game changer for other people.